I switched wireless carriers and broke all of my own rules. Hey guys, a few of you have been asking me what wireless carrier do I use. I've reviewed a number of different prepaid wireless services for the YouTube channel and smartphonematters.com, but people want to know what service do I use for my main number. Well, I started out many years ago using T-Mobile and then AT&T postpaid. Now, at that time, my job paid for my phone service. Life was good. I never had to deal with the bills or understand any of this stuff. They just gave me the phone and I used it. But when I switched jobs, I had to start paying for my own phone service, found out exactly how expensive it was. So I switched to T-Mobile prepaid at the time. Now, that didn't work too well for me, so then I switched to Net 10 Wireless. And then I finally switched to Straight Talk. Now, when I went to Straight Talk, I was on that $45 plan. And then I switched to the $35 plan because I simply didn't need all the data that was coming with the $45 plan. They just kept adding more data to it. And then they introduced the $35 plan that was cheaper. So I switched to that. Now, also during that time, I found out that the AT&T network is really the one that works the best for me in my area. Now, Verizon is really popular in the Boston metro area, but just in my neighborhood where I live, the AT&T network just seems to be a better choice for me. And when I was looking at prepaid wireless services back then, Verizon wouldn't let any of the prepaid wireless carriers use their LTE network. When they did, they instituted a 5 megabit per second maximum download speed on any prepaid wireless service using the Verizon network. To me, that wasn't competitive. The coverage wasn't as good, so I just decided I want to be on the AT&T network. Now, that $35 plan on Straight Talk that I was on, that wasn't really competitive. I could get a better deal, but just had a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't want to switch my main number to another carrier. All right, already, what did I switch to? I switched to Sprint postpaid. What? Well, you may remember I did a few videos in the past. I think the last one was in June about this free promotion from Sprint. You could sign up for Sprint and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for a year for free. I decided to do that. When I did that, I broke all my own rules. Now, up front, I want to say it's free, but you're going to need to pay tax. So my monthly bill is $4.09 a month. That's right, $4.09 a month. So the service is free, but you got to pay for the sales tax. All right, now when I switched to Sprint postpaid, I broke all of my rules. The rules that I'm telling you guys about all the time here on the channel on smartphonematters.com. First, I chose a network which I wasn't sure was going to work well in my area. Second, I chose a plan that offers way more data than I need. It's an unlimited plan. I don't need unlimited data. I need unlimited talk and text and maybe 1 to 2 gigabytes of cell data and the option to add more. 3, I didn't verify that the features I wanted were supported. And 4, I didn't even check the fine print. I just switched. Now, why did I do this? Well, for a few reasons. 1, the price. It's free for a year. It's normally $60 a month after that, but I'm paying $4.10 a month for unlimited data. When I told Mrs. Thompson I was switching to Sprint and it was $4 a month, she said, sign me up too. So she wanted to come along too. So she definitely liked that $4 deal. 2, I wanted to try out the Sprint network. I've tried the other 3, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, but my only experience with Sprint has been with Project Fi. I always have a backup phone. I usually either have a backup SIM in my wallet or I have a second phone with me. Sometimes it's just my backup number that I use for stuff that I do here on the channel. Sometimes it's a different service that I'm trying out and reviewing to see how it works. So I'm always going to have coverage. And I figured, heck, I could save some cash. I have a $1,150 cell phone here. So if I could spend less money on my service, then take some of the sting out of buying this expensive phone a year ago. And then finally, I'm under no obligation to stay with Sprint. I can leave Sprint anytime I want. So there's really no downside for me. All right, so what do I think about Sprint? Well, first, I want to start out by saying Sprint deserves major credit for this promotion. 1 year for free to get you to try their service. Hats off to you, Sprint. That's pretty impressive. But, for me, the service, it's pretty meh. I would just say it's meh. A few things I didn't like. I have spotty coverage in my town. The LTE drops out. Often I see the LTE drop to 3G and then it drops to 1X. When it drops to 1X, I have no data connection. I see this in one of the local supermarkets. At my sister-in-law's house, she lives in town here. And when I go over there, often my phone drops to 3G or 1X. I was over at one of my neighbor's house. I had no coverage while I was at my neighbor's house. Now, my other neighbor was on Verizon, and he didn't have coverage there too. So maybe my neighbor's house is just in dead zone or something like that. But I don't see those types of problems with the AT&T network. Now, two, poor Wi-Fi calling. So Sprint has Wi-Fi calling, but my calls, they dropped when I walked around my house. When I get on the phone, I tend to pace. Sometimes I go in and out of the house, between the house and the backyard. Sometimes I'm walking back and forth in the house from end to end. And I noticed a lot of my calls were dropping. I suspect what was happening was I was walking into areas where the Wi-Fi signal disappeared or dropped off, and the Wi-Fi calling wasn't properly handing off back to the cell network. So I don't know if that's a problem with my phone or if it's a problem with my Wi-Fi, but I'm going to say it's a problem with Sprint because I didn't have that problem previously when I was using Wi-Fi calling. So I ended up turning off Wi-Fi calling, and my calling works great now. So the calling is much better at my house. I don't have any issues since I turned off Wi-Fi calling. That's kind of the opposite of what you would think would be the case. Now, number three, no voice and data at the same time. Mrs. Thompson was not happy with this one. So she didn't even know that not having voice and data at the same time was an issue. She never heard of that. She never was on a carrier that didn't support voice and data at the same time. So she was kind of upset about that one. And when I say that, it reminds me of another rule I forgot to mention, which is switch to the new wireless carrier yourself before you move your family member or friends or anybody else that's on your plan. Because one thing that's worse than switching to a carrier and finding out it doesn't work well is having moved over one or more people to that and then having them be mad at you for moving them to some service. Now, in my case with Mrs. Thompson, I warned her for about 3 days that she might not like Sprint, but when she heard it was $4 a month, she couldn't resist. All right, now, what did I like? Well, the coverage, while it drops out around my town, I usually didn't have to go too far to get coverage again. So I was never in a situation where I needed my phone and it wasn't working. Even though I could see the coverage switching, the overall net effect of that really didn't cause me any problems. And I've traveled between Boston and New York several times, haven't had an issue, no major issues. I took a trip to Las Vegas, only had minor coverage outages in some of the hotels on the Strip. And I suspect that would often be the case for a lot of cell coverage inside some of those big casinos. When I've been driving, and I like to use the Waze app for real-time traffic updates, that's always worked well for me. Haven't had any issues with the connection being down. So I guess if the connection dropped out, enough data was cached for maps and things like that, that I haven't had a problem. All right, next up, well, Wi-Fi calling. I think it's great that they support Wi-Fi calling. I wish it would have worked better in my case. Maybe it works better for some other people. I'm not sure what the issue was for me. 3, free hotspot. I was in Logan Airport and my phone automatically connected to a Sprint secured hotspot. So that was great. I didn't expect that to happen. It just did. I didn't have to figure out which of the airport hotspots to connect to, which is the actual real one, which are the fake ones. And I felt a lot better knowing that I was on a Sprint hotspot that was secure. So I thought that was pretty good. I didn't even know that they had that feature. Now, 4, streaming music. I rarely listen to streaming music. I have a free Pandora account, but I'm able to use that now in my car. And I guess that's not really a feature of Sprint. That's really just more a benefit of having unlimited data. My phone connects to my car's headset over Bluetooth, and I can either use the Pandora app on my phone, or the head unit uses the phone as a hotspot over a Bluetooth connection, and then I can use my car's head unit, and it works pretty well. So that's kind of cool. And because of that, I might actually sign up and try Apple Music or Spotify for a few months to see if I like streaming music. And then 5, hotspot. The plan comes with either 10 or 15 gigabytes of hotspot. But we had an internet outage at home for about 36 hours after a storm one weekend, and both Mrs. Thompson and I turned on the hotspots on our phone. We were able to keep our computers and the rest of our stuff connected and use the internet, and that really helped me out with some of the work that I needed to do. It helped us out with entertainment. We have no television service in the house. We just have internet only, and being able to use hotspot really helped us out. 6, free Hulu. I recently just signed up for that, and I'm trying that out. You know, it works. It's Hulu. It's got commercials on it. It's, I guess, the lowest tier of Hulu. Now, for me, there's really very little on regular TV that interests me. I'm more of either a YouTube person or a Netflix person. I've been trying out the Hulu app. there's really not a lot of shows on there that I think that I want to watch. I'm just not too interested in regular network TV. But I'll keep looking in there, and maybe there'll be some shows and movies that I'll want to watch. So the fact that they give you this service for free, that's kind of cool. All right, what else can I tell you? Well, the SIM kit, it cost me about $14. You have to order the SIM to sign up for the service. And the SIM, I think, is $3. And then you need to pay for it to be shipped to you overnight. And then you can go through the sign-up processing. The service is $4.09 a month for me in the Boston area in Massachusetts. It could be more for you based on what sales tax is for telecom service in your area. And the accounting or the bill stuff they do is kind of crazy. They bill you $5 and then they credit you back $5. You never charge for that. It's just some accounting they do on the bill. You're paying like a $5 line fee and then they credit it back to you. So you never need to pay that. It's just, I guess, whatever they're doing with their internal bookkeeping. All right. Now, would I switch to Sprint based on my 4-month experience with this? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay $60 for service. I certainly wouldn't pay $60 for this level of service. I don't need unlimited data. I guess it's nice to have. So when the trial is up, well, I'll definitely switch to something else. Now, maybe I'll switch to something related to Sprint, depending on what kind of deals they have at that time and what my needs are. By the time I'm done with this, perhaps Sprint and T-Mobile will be one company and they'll have some different plan. I noticed they already have tiers of different unlimited plans. Maybe they'll come out with something less expensive, more in a range of what I'm willing to pay for wireless service. Well, we'll just wait and see. And should you switch? Well, that's really up to you. This was an expensive phone. Paying $4 for service for a year is a great way to save up a little extra money if you bought an expensive phone. And for you, it really depends on how well Sprint works in your area and then whether or not you're willing to try it out and see if it's a good deal for you. A lot of people always tell me about how this carrier is great, how this carrier is terrible. The United States is a big place. You got to find what works best for you where you live. All right, guys, maybe I'll do a follow-up video on the Sprint service if there is any interest in that. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. But for now, that's going to be it for this video, and I will talk to you again next time.